It's Askly Wednesday again, and as always, just a reminder, if you have a question and you'd like me to answer it in this segment, then please leave it in the description below, or in the comments below, and I'll add it to the list. Okay, I'm going to answer some questions from Nea Night. There is quite a long list of questions, so I might, if I don't get through all of them this week, I'll do it next week. I don't like these videos to get too long, 15-20 minutes. So let's see how far we get. Welcome to my channel. You are entering the world of magic and mysticism with your host, Lee W. Johnson. Keep the lights on and help improve the channel by becoming a supporter for just $2.99 per month. Hit the join button. Okay, questions from Nea Night. Let's just zoom in here a bit. If Satan is considered the ether in an elemental circle, does that make it a theistic, satanic practice? Even if you consider yourself just a Daemonolator, but not a Satanist? Or are you automatically also a Satanist as a Daemonolator then, because you recognize Satan as an existing being? Alright, there's a big difference between being a Satanist and being a Daemonolator. And when we get into the satanic part, we're going to have different variations there also. The big difference is that although Daemonolators will often, and this isn't with all Daemonolators, this is not always the case. People who do follow S. Connolly religiously will probably put Satan in that position of being the ether. It's all in the case of being the spirit aspect of the elemental forces. So it's the spirit force. I wouldn't say in the case of it being all as in the all nothing, the om nil, the over encompassing power or force that is everything and nothing. It's more in terms of the elemental forces, my opinion. Now, that's not the case for every Daemonolator. We place the 5 elemental kings in the 5 positions, the 4 cardinal positions, and then spirit. And those 5 elemental kings can be different for everybody. It doesn't need to be fixed or cemented with the demons mentioned by Connolly, being Lucifer, Flerius, Leviathan, Belial, and Satan. It can be whatever spirits, whatever demons you consider to be representative of the elements and can pull that elemental energy in. Alright, so there's that aspect. Then with Satanism, if it is a theistic Satanist, not a non-theistic Satanist, and non-theistic Satanists, Levian Satanists, are going to argue with me and say that the others are not Satanists, they are devil worshippers. That's fine, you can argue away. Theistic Satanists do consider Satan to be that all-encompassing God, that all-father, the omnil, the all-nothing, etc., etc., etc. So it is that big, over-encompassing power and force, which is everything and nothing. They just title it Satan. And they may work with other spirits, other demons. Some may not. They may just only work with that one force, that one power, that one god or goddess. So again, there's varying different ways to actually work and ways that people do interpret these things and consider these things. But I think that's the big difference, is that on one side you have the Daemonolator with the Satan being the spirit aspect, the ether, the all-encompassing elemental forces. Whereas on the other side, with the satanic, you have Satan being that all-encompassing everything and nothing, the God. I think that's probably, I think that should answer your question there. Alright, next question. Is it recommended for a beginner to test the spirits every time for the first couple of rituals, especially when you haven't developed your psychic abilities, like clairaudience, voyance, etc., yet, and don't really get answers from the spirits in a conversation type of way? How do I get the answers that can't be answered with a yes or no via pendulum, or example via pendulum? For example, the question about their full name and associations. Alright, so this is very much in reference to the video I did on testing the spirits, a step-by-step guide. Yes, it can be a bit difficult if you haven't developed your clear senses or your psychic senses, but at the same time, I think in a lot of cases people need, it's kind of almost like not really developing the senses, but trusting that you have them. We get impressions every second of every day, but we usually ignore them, not thinking they are part of our psychic senses, because that's what we've been taught to do. So, you know, developing your psychic senses is often about trusting that you actually do have them, they do work. But besides that, how do you test them if you are not sure about your psychic senses? So a pendulum is good. What you'll probably find is you will have contact, and then after the contact, not during the contact, you can then use the pendulum or whichever scrying method you are using, or divination method, to confirm if it was the spirit. So you'll get into contact with the spirit, you'll say hi, you'll say thanks for being here, and I'm just going to go off and just check that it really is you. Cheers, have a nice day, hail and farewell, whatever terms you use. And then you come and you do your divination to check that it was the spirit. Then you can go back and speak to the spirit, and once you've made that contact, it's, as I said in the previous Askly, it's a bit like, you know, it's a feeling. You kind of like, as I said in that video also, if you open the door and there's somebody standing there that looks like your friend but it's not your friend, you know if it's your friend or not. And so you've built this, you build a relationship over time, but you build these relationships with the spirits, and when you then interact with them, you know that it's the spirit and not an astral parasite or an imposter spirit. So you don't need to test every single time, but it's that initial connection, that initial introduction and communication. You need to just make sure that it is the spirit, and that can be done by coming out of that communication, wishing them farewell and sending them on their way, and then confirming it if it was the spirit or not. And that should answer that question anyway. Oh, and the other thing is, also mentioned in the previous video, draw a banishing pentagram. If you're not sure at all, or if you feel threatened or something like that and the spirit is not going away, then draw a banishing pentagram in front of you and push it through the spirit, all visually, psychically, imagination, visualization, and you push that energy through them. If they disappear, you know, if it is an astral parasite, they won't stick around, they'll go off, they'll go away. The next question, where are we? 9 minutes. Okay, so we've got time for a couple more, I think. If I'm doing my first ever invocation and I'm being anxious and nervous about it because I'm a beginner, is there a higher chance of an other to come through because of those feelings? Or is that not necessarily the case if I have the protection set up? If you have the protection set up, it's usually not the case. You may still feel nervous. That nervous energy can attract the astral parasites, but if you've got the protections in place, then you'll probably find that it won't bother you, or they won't bother you. And in this case, by protection, what we're talking about is raising your vibration. If you have raised your vibration, then a lower vibration entity can't join you. Again, coming back to, I think it was the last Ask Lee or the one before, where I was talking about when invoking gods and goddesses to the point of possession where the spirit rides the person. If you have not raised your vibration to the same or similar level to the god, they can't make connection. But if you have, then they can make the connection. So if you are talking about a lower energy being, which is down here, and you've raised your vibration up here, it can't do anything to you, it can't connect to you. It's exactly the same thing, just in reverse. So with protection work, we're really talking about, and banishing as well. Banishing is about raising your vibration. It's about calling in forces that do raise your vibration, so that these things can't get to you. They can't stick to you, because different vibration, different frequency. If you're not tuned into the same frequency as these things, or they're not tuned into the same frequency as you, they can't connect. There's no communication. So it really is about doing the practices like meditation. You can do banishing rites, you can do offerings to spirits, to gods and goddesses, and speak to them, just chat to the gods and goddesses which you feel close to, and bring yourself into that higher state, into that higher frequency, so that you tune your radio into the gods and goddesses and tune it out of the frequency, which is the lower entity beings. And that's really what we're talking about there. So even if you are anxious and nervous, because you will be, and it's exciting, it really is exciting. It's that feeling of kind of worry, but excitement at the same time, and you're not sure if you should do it, but you want to. It's exciting at first, it really is, and relish that feeling, because it does go away eventually, unfortunately, and we keep trying to get it back and we can't. So really, you're going to feel that nervousness and excitement and anxiousness and everything else, and it's fantastic, it really is. But as long as you've done the work, then you'll be fine. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, we can do one more. Let's see, did that one. Would you recommend locking all my mirrors in the room, because they're liminal spaces, and set up strong protections on my door, windows, etc. before contacting a demon for the first time, to minimize the risk of an other coming through? I don't think it's absolutely necessary. It might be going a bit overboard. In protection work itself, there's a lot of protection we can do where we do protect our home. So it's not always a case of casting a magical circle, which is protective in its right, and you are protected, or the people in your home are protected because you've done the circle. You should do protective rituals or protective spell work magic for the rest of your house, for your whole house. And this is something that we just do on a continual basis. But what you'll find is, with protective work, if you're doing the daily stuff, as I said, the meditations and the banishings and the offerings to the deities that are there to help you, to guide you and to guard you, then you're protected to begin with, and that protection extends to your immediate surroundings. But if you need that extra boost, if you need that extra protection, then go and do things like specific workings for your home, whatever it may be, whatever direction you're going in. Then you can do protections for the windows and the doors, and I don't think, mirrors we don't always need to lock down. If we have a specific mirror which we are using as a liminal space, which we are using as a portal or a scrying tool, then yes, lock those ones down. But you know, your bathroom mirror that you're looking at every morning, you know, we're going to do that anyway. We don't necessarily need to lock that down unless we find that something is happening. If you find that you look into a specific mirror which you have not worked before, and all of a sudden you start getting visions, then you might need to lock that down, because that specific mirror has become a scrying device for you, or a portal. Then lock that mirror down, and use it as a tool for your magic. But I don't think we need to do it with every single mirror in the house, because they are just not, they're just used for reflection. But yeah, so that really is, I think it covers everything there. Can't think of anything else. So do your usual, do all your normal protection work, your rituals and your meditations and everything else. Then if you need the extra, if you find you need the extra stuff, then do the extra stuff. But you know, it's kind of like moving into a new house, and you have your normal protections. You've got your alarm system. You may have barbed wire or an electric fence running around the perimeter, and you know, that's your usual protection, and it in most cases it works, it's good. But you may have a break-in at one stage, in which case you need to then upgrade your security. But if you move into the house and immediately start hiring security guards, and you buy yourself a tank and a jet fighter and a turret, so that somebody can stand with a machine gun getting ready for any invaders, you know, it may be going a little overboard prematurely. Nothing wrong with it, but it's not absolutely necessary. There's energy, that energy can be spent somewhere else. So just moving into the house and relying on the alarm system and the electric fence, and all the basic stuff, is the same as relying on the meditation and the banishing work and doing the offerings daily, raising your vibration so that you don't have those lower energy entities attaching to you. Then if you find that somebody's attacking you, you can make a witch bottle. You know, whatever the case may be, whatever is happening, you may need more specific security, and then therefore you then go and do that work. Okay, so that's it for this week. There are some more questions from Nea Night. I do thank you for all the questions. I do like the questions, and I think everybody else will thank you as well, because sometimes people, you know, ask a question and we talk about it, and then somebody realizes, that was something I wanted to ask and forgot about. So thank you for all the questions. There are quite a few here, so I think what we'll do next week, we'll see if we can get through the rest of them. Okay, so have a good one for now. I'll see you then. Cheerio.